And this card is literally Tearlaments Kid Carlos. So milling 5 on summon, so broken. I called it wrong, so I have to mill 9. It's time to mill 9. This card is literally Kelbeck and Agido. Hello and welcome to the video. Today we want to go over another replay from Firewater format, and here we have a replay where I played against Justice Punch, and I think this replay is a great showcase of Lightsworn in this format, so I'm already really excited to showcase the replay to you. Let's jump straight into replay. Here I win the RPS and can decide to go first. In the opening hand we have Lila, Raikou, Needlebug Nest, Foolish Burial, Diabolus, Charge. Here we have Garonix, Bear, Murmillo, Tenki, MST. So it's Fire King, which is the signature deck of Justice Punch against my Lightsworn. This format is pre-Lightsworn structure deck, so no Raiden, no Michael. However, it doesn't matter, this deck is really sick even without those cards, as you're going to see in a couple seconds. I start with the Charge. Milling the Breakthrough skill, Honest, Needlebug Nest. Those mills do nothing, but it doesn't matter. Then Foolish Burial, sending the Garrod. And the Lumina, discarding the Raikou, summon back the Garrod. Set the Needlebug Nest. In the end phase, mill 3. The mills are Lila, Wolf, Lumina. So we get one special summon from the Wolf. And then we get even more mills from the Garrod. And the Garrod mills also a Lumina. That means we can draw one, draws into Wolf. Not the greatest draw, but we can discard the Wolf with the Lumina. And then my opponent draws into Wolfborg, hits me with the MST on the Needlebug Nest. However, I can just chain the Needlebug Nest. The Needlebug Nest is Agido, so I can mill 5 cards. 5 cards. So we already milled 8 cards, and now we are going to mill 5 additional cards. This deck is literally Ishizu Tearlaments. Mill, mill, mill. And now mill 5. And with the mill 5, we hit Charge, Aaron, Wyvern, Necro Gardener, and Forbidden Lens. So Necro Gardener is huge because it allows us to protect the Lumina. And then Eclipse Wyvern triggers, banishing the Judgment Dragon. Opponent starts with Tenki, grabbing the Yaksha, and now Yaksha is attacking into the Wolf. This is already pretty sus, because this tells me my opponent has the Garonix in the hand and my opponent wants to crash the Yaksha to pop the Garonix in the hand. But I already had the read on this play and decided to prevent it with the Necro Gardener. And now just pass. And there we have the Dragon Ruler that we need to banish the Eclipse Wyvern to add back the Judgment Dragon from the banished pile. First of all, I start with the Lumina, discarding the Wolf, summon back the Lumina. The Lumina, discard Tempest, summon back Garrod. The reason why I play multiple Wolves is because they are Beast Warriors and we can overlay 2 Beast Warriors into Bujinte Kagutsuchi. And this card is literally Tearlaments Kid Carlos. So milling 5 on summon, so broken. Let's start with the mill 5. And we mill. So we mill Diabolus, Redox, Recharge, Eclipse Wyvern, Necro Gardener. That means we can banish 1 additional Judgment Dragon and then we have a lot of Dragon Rulers that we can summon out immediately after that. So Eclipse Wyvern, banishing Judgment Dragon, then deciding which Dragon Ruler to summon. My opponent scoops immediately, which is completely fair. Because I resolve a card that is literally Tearlaments Kid Carlos, and then I resolve Needlebug Nest, which is basically Agido. And now, second game, my opponent can go first. In the opening hand, we have Deep Dark Trap Hole, Tenki, Garonix, Torrential, Murm, Onslaught. Unfortunately, Onslaught works only going second in this deck, but this doesn't really matter here because my opponent has a bunch of good options for going first. So Justice Punch starts with the Tenki, grabbing the Yaksha, the normal summon Yaksha, and now my opponent sets just a Torrential, which is completely fine because this works well with the Garonix in the hand. And now my 6th card is Eclipse Wyvern. I have Fiend Comedian, Raikou, Card Trooper, MST, Diabolus. And I start with the Card Trooper, milling 3 cards. And now the Card Trooper is boosted, can attack into the Yaksha from the opponent, and both of them crash. That means I get to draw 1, and I draw into Blaster. My opponent can pop the Garonix. That means Garonix special summon out in the next standby phase. Setting 1, pass. Now my opponent top decks into Wolfborg. Alright. Then I hit him with the Fiend Comedian, so the idea is to banish the Garonix from the graveyard to prevent the special summon from the Garonix. But I have to gamble and get it right. And I get it wrong. So I mill 2 cards instead. And the mills are Breakthrough Skill Lila. Not bad, because the Breakthrough Skill works also on the Garonix in our turn. And then Garonix comes out. Opponent decides to normal summon the Murmillo, searching the trap hole. Most of people would assume this card is not that good and shouldn't be in any deck in firewater format, but this card is actually solid and has its niche because it hits a bunch of normal summons in several decks and it's searchable by Traptrix Murmillo. Then attacking with the Murmillo, attacking with the Garonix. I decide to bluff the Gorse, and my opponent still attacks with both of them. Set to pass. And now it's much harder for me to spot which back row is the trap hole and which one is the really scary back row which isn't the trap hole. I top deck into Necro Gardener, not that great, so just set Raikou, set MST, pass. And now my opponent is top decking into Breakthrough Skill, hits me with the normal summon Wolfbog effect, bring back the Yaksha. And then battle phase, attacking into the Raikou. And I decide to pop the Garonix, because in the next standby phase, Garonix has to special summon itself back, and then it destroys all other monsters on the field. I really wanted my opponent to Garonix nuke their own board in the next standby phase. So popping the Garonix, the mills are JD, Lumina, Necro Gardener. Alright, at least the Necro Gardener can protect my life points, so that I keep my life points high enough to use the Judgment Dragon effect twice. And then my opponent attacks me with the Wolfbark. Then overlay into Bujinte. This card has also a second effect, and the effect is that it can detach Exorcism material to protect itself from destruction by battle or card effects. So this card can survive the Garonix nuke.
Who are you talking to?
And then my opponent has to mill 5 on summon, which can be really helpful on Fire King because we have Rekindling. And the mills are 5 spells and traps, so 0 monsters with 200 defense that we can summon back with Rekindling. Really bad mills overall, but doesn't matter. Set 1, pass. And now, top decking into Fiend Comedian. In the standby phase, Garonix special summon out. I decide to chain the Breakthrough Skill on the Bujinte. And now Garonix special summons itself out, has to destroy all other monsters on the field. Boom. Set Eclipse Wyvern, set Fiend Comedian, pass. And then opponent is top decking into Tanky. All 5 spell and trap zones are currently occupied, so we can't use the Tanky right now. And then Eclipse Wyvern, banishing the Judgment Dragon from the deck. Now Solar Recharge. And here I had to make a decision, so I could start the game with the Necro Gardener, or I could also gamble and try to kill my opponent in this turn. And I decided to go for the gamble, so Fiend Comedian. Calling head, I fail, and my opponent has currently 9 cards in the graveyard. That means I called it wrong, so I have to mill 9. It's time to mill 9. This card is literally Kelbeck and Agido. So milling 9 cards. And the mills are Foolish, Wolf, Breakthrough Skill, Wyvern, Aaron, Tempest, Gorse, MST, Recharge. I made a mistake here, and I assumed that the Eclipse Wyvern belongs into the mill 9. However, the Eclipse Wyvern was sent to the graveyard in the previous turn, but it doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things, as you will see in the future. So we get the special summon from the Wolf, we get the banish from the Wyvern, banishing the second copy of Judgment Dragon, and then the Abolus. And now summoning the Abolus from my hand. My opponent hits me with the Torrential, which is completely fair because this one triggers the Garonix and it prevents the Diabolos from bouncing back row. But I have so much more gas left, so MST hitting a back row, which turns out to be the trap hole. Unfortunately for me that I hit the trap hole when there was a deep dark trap hole on the board, but it doesn't matter, it still gamed through several interruptions. Then Tempest special summon itself out. My opponent could hit me with the deep dark trap hole, but this would result in Judgment Dragon resolving. And then I can add back 2 Judgment Dragon. And now it's Judgment Day, first Judgment Dragon. I want to use the effect. My opponent hits me with the Breakthrough Skill. Second Judgment Dragon. Now my opponent has to use the Deep Dark Trap Hole here, otherwise it's game. And my opponent has to use the Deep Dark Trap Hole. But then my opponent doesn't know that I have the Blaster in the hand, and Blaster allows me to go for a game through 4 back row. So it's game through 4 back row. Judgment Dragon, Blaster, Tempest, game. Yeah, and I hope you can see the power of Lightsworn in this format even without Radiant. This deck is absolutely sick. Like, we are literally playing Ishizu Tearlaments. So we are literally playing Ishizu Tearlaments with mill 5, mill 9, mill 10. And if we can mill such a huge amount of cards, it's just beyond game with all of the Judgment Dragons that we can search by milling our own deck, followed up by Dragon Ruler summons. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed the replay and see you in the next video.